In the first part of the story, the narrative introduces readers to the setting and context of the galaxy, establishing the socio-political framework in which the two alien girls, Lyra and Kessia, exist. The galaxy is dominated by the Council of Zitharon, a ruling body that enforces strict laws and maintains absolute control over all member species. This council is highly structured and values logic, obedience, and hierarchy above all else. Any deviation from these rigid expectations is met with severe consequences. This creates a backdrop of tension and conflict, setting the stage for why the protagonists find themselves in a situation of vulnerability and isolation. Lyra and Kessia are presented as intelligent, independent, and strong-willed members of their society, yet they share a critical flaw in the Council's eyes. They dared to question authority. Specifically, they disagreed with the Council's militaristic policies, which prioritized conquest and domination over diplomacy and cooperation. Their questioning is not just a minor act of rebellion, it is framed as a direct challenge to the Council's authority. By doing so, the story immediately positions them as outsiders within their own culture. They are not inherently bad or violent. Rather, their moral and ethical reasoning conflicts with a system that values obedience over conscience. This establishes the foundation for the HFY, Humans High Fidelity theme. Outsiders navigating a system far more rigid and controlling than Earth itself. The punishment imposed on Lyra and Kessia is severe and symbolic. They are stripped of everything that defined them within their society: rank, property, status, and social recognition. More strikingly, they are exiled to Earth, a planet considered primitive, dangerous, and unworthy of sophisticated life. This choice of punishment reflects both the Council's arrogance and its underestimation of the human world. Earth is depicted as a wild, untamed environment full of natural challenges that the girls have never encountered before. Unlike the ordered and predictable cities of Zitharon, Earth offers no pre-designed infrastructure, no technology that anticipates every need, and no rigid societal rules. The planet itself becomes a character in the story, a living, breathing force that tests their adaptability and resilience. The initial crash landing is a critical moment in Part 1, serving as a literal and symbolic transition from their old life to a new existence. The girls find themselves stranded in a dense, unfamiliar forest, completely isolated from their home and technology. The story emphasizes the rawness of their situation, the sounds of unknown creatures, the unpredictability of weather, and the constant threat of danger. Their first night together is spent under a makeshift shelter, highlighting the immediate survival challenges and the necessity of cooperation. The narrative focuses on their resourcefulness and the instinct to protect one another, which subtly lays the groundwork for their developing relationship. Amid the tension and fear, the story begins exploring emotional depth and interpersonal dynamics. Lyra notices Kessia's courage and determination, qualities that shine even in moments of despair. Kessia's quiet strength and resilience inspire Lyra, who has always been more rational and stoic. This observation is significant because it shifts the focus from survival alone to the humanizing and relatable emotional experiences of the characters. The story suggests that, even in the harshest circumstances, connections can form and bonds can strengthen. The narrative hints at the beginning of romantic feelings without overtly stating them, maintaining subtlety while foreshadowing future developments in their relationship. Part 1 also sets the tone for the rest of the story. It establishes key themes: adaptation, resilience, companionship, and the unpredictable nature of Earth. The contrast between the sterile, controlled life of Zitharon and the wild, untamed environment of Earth underscores the girls' journey, from punishment to potential growth. It also introduces the idea that exile, while initially a form of suffering, can become an opportunity for transformation. By focusing on their immediate reactions, resourcefulness, and emotional observations, Part 1 immerses readers in the girls' predicament while generating anticipation for how they will navigate this alien world. In summary, Part 1 functions as both exposition and character development. It explains why Lyra and Kessia are on Earth, establishes the dangers of their new environment, and begins to explore the emotional and relational dynamics that will become central to the story. It emphasizes that while they are physically exiled, their internal journey, the awakening of mutual respect, admiration, and potential love, is just beginning. By the end of this section, readers understand the stakes, the challenges, and the seeds of a relationship that may flourish under extraordinary circumstances. Of the story, the narrative shifts from the initial shock of exile and crash landing to the day-to-day reality of survival on Earth. While Part 1 focused on the abrupt transition from their advanced, controlled society to a chaotic and unpredictable world, Part 2 emphasizes growth, resourcefulness, and the deepening bond between Lyra and Kessia. This section is crucial because it demonstrates how these characters, despite being stripped of technology, status, and support systems, begin to thrive through adaptability, intelligence, and cooperation. Qualities that resonate strongly with the HFY, humans, high-fidelity theme of resilience in the face of challenges. The opening of Part 2 establishes that survival on Earth is not merely about enduring, it requires ingenuity, observation, and learning. Lyra and Kessia encounter numerous natural obstacles, unfamiliar flora and fauna, harsh weather, and the unpredictability of a planet that operates entirely outside the controlled systems of Zitharon. Unlike their previous lives, where challenges could often be anticipated or engineered solutions applied, Earth demands improvisation. This emphasizes the stark contrast between the structured life they left behind and the raw, unpredictable world they now inhabit. It is here that the story begins to showcase the unique qualities of the alien protagonists, including their intelligence, curiosity, and ability to learn rapidly from their environment. A key focus in this part is the girls' process of adaptation. They learn to identify edible plants, discern which are poisonous, and construct simple tools and traps to secure food. The narrative highlights their growing observational skills. Lyra might notice subtle movements in the forest indicating prey or danger, while Kessia interprets behavioral patterns in the local wildlife. Their survival is not accidental. It is the result of constant learning, adaptation, and teamwork. This period also provides a natural opportunity to develop character dynamics. Each girl brings her strengths. Lyra's analytical mind complements Kessia's intuition and quick thinking. Together, they form a cohesive team, and readers begin to sense the trust and interdependence that will later evolve into romantic attachment. The story includes a pivotal event in Part 2 that further deepens their bond, an encounter with a dangerous predator, a bear-like creature native to Earth. This confrontation is both a literal and symbolic test of their survival skills. Kessia's decisive action saves them from immediate harm, while Lyra's precise aim with a handmade spear drives the threat away. The scene underscores several important themes: the importance of collaboration, the necessity of courage in the face of danger, and the effectiveness of combining intellect with instinct. The adrenaline-fueled scenario also creates a moment of intimacy. After the confrontation, as they sit by the fire to recover, the narrative highlights subtle emotional cues, glances, gestures, and physical proximity that signal the beginnings of love. In a world without societal titles or external pressures, their emotional connection can grow naturally and unrestrained. Part 2 also introduces an underlying theme of transformation. Earth, though harsh and chaotic, becomes a crucible, in which Lyra and Kessia's characters are tested and refined. The challenges of survival force them to shed remnants of their previous societal conditioning, reliance on technology, dependence on hierarchy, and a sense of superiority, and embrace adaptability, humility, and cooperation. These changes are not just physical, but emotional. The girls begin to recognize and value each other's strengths, which fosters mutual respect and trust. The story subtly conveys that love can emerge from shared struggle and interdependence, even in the absence of societal validation or approval. Additionally, Part 2 strengthens the HFY theme by drawing attention to the parallels between alien ingenuity and human resilience. While Earth is primitive compared to Zitharon, it provides an environment where natural intelligence, creativity, and adaptability are rewarded. Lyra and Kessia, though alien, demonstrate these traits, essentially adopting the very qualities that make humans remarkable in the eyes of the broader galaxy. The narrative suggests that survival is not about technological superiority alone, but about cleverness, courage, and collaboration, qualities both humans and adaptable aliens share. In conclusion, Part 2 is a pivotal section that moves the story beyond exile into action and growth. It illustrates the challenges of survival, highlights the complementary skills of Lyra and Kessia, and develops the emotional connection that will underpin the romantic arc of the story. Through ingenuity, courage, and mutual reliance, the girls transition from vulnerable exiles to capable survivors, while subtly discovering a deeper, emotional bond. Their adaptation to Earth is both a practical necessity and a symbolic journey toward emotional awakening, setting the stage for their encounters with humans and the larger narrative of love, connection, and resilience. The story marks a major turning point for Lyra and Kessia, as their struggle for survival on Earth shifts from mere adaptation to interaction with the planet's native inhabitants, the humans. Up to this point, their lives have been focused primarily on surviving the environment and each other's company. However, their first real encounter with humans introduces entirely new challenges and opportunities, both external and internal. This part is critical because it expands the narrative beyond the isolated forest, explores cross-species dynamics, and further develops the emotional depth between the two alien protagonists. The story begins with Lyra and Kessia cautiously exploring human settlements. After weeks of surviving in the wild, curiosity begins to take root. Earth's humans, while primitive compared to Zitharon, exhibit behaviors that both fascinate and baffle the alien girls. Unlike the highly controlled, structured society they came from, humans are improvisational, inventive, and resourceful in ways that are completely foreign to the exiled aliens. Humans collaborate in complex, sometimes chaotic ways, yet achieve outcomes that are remarkably effective. Lyra and Kessia observe this, noting that survival on Earth relies not solely on brute force or advanced technology, but on creativity, teamwork, and adaptability, the very traits that had allowed them to endure the initial days after their crash. The first direct human interaction occurs when the girls save a human child from a wild animal, a moment of tension and revelation. This act demonstrates that Lyra and Kessia are not hostile invaders or threats. They are beings capable of empathy, quick thinking, and protection. This moment is pivotal as it bridges the gap between two very different species. Humans, initially, fearful of the alien forms, quickly recognize the benevolence of the girls' actions. This establishes an important narrative theme, the universality of compassion and the recognition of intent across species boundaries. It also allows the girls to gradually earn trust, an essential step for the integration that follows. The story emphasizes the girls' observational skills during these encounters. They begin to study human behavior, how humans communicate, cooperate, and solve problems. Lyra and Kessia are struck by the adaptability and inventiveness of humans, noting how this species thrives despite technological limitations and environmental challenges. This reflection not only develops their understanding of the new world, but also reinforces one of the central HFY themes. Humans are resilient, resourceful, and uniquely capable of overcoming adversity. The aliens' admiration for human ingenuity becomes a subtle nod to the narrative's broader message that humanity possesses qualities unmatched even by advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. Amid the tension and excitement of encountering humans, the emotional arc between Lyra and Kessia continues to evolve. Their shared experiences of danger, observation, and cautious exploration provide fertile ground for trust and intimacy to grow. Subtle gestures, a hand held for reassurance, a touch during a moment of fright, a shared smile at human ingenuity, signal the early stages of romantic feelings. The narrative shows that love in extreme circumstances is not instantaneous infatuation, but a gradual realization born from mutual respect, reliance, and admiration. In this way, Part 3 skillfully balances action with character development, using external challenges to illuminate the internal growth of the protagonists. The alien girl's relationship with humans also deepens the story's exploration of adaptation. Lyra and Kessia begin to integrate aspects of human culture into their daily routines. They learn from humans, accept small tokens of hospitality, and begin to understand the social rules and norms that govern human communities. This process mirrors their own internal transformation. They are no longer solely Zytheron citizens defined by hierarchy and obedience. They are beings capable of empathy, learning, and love. Earth, once merely a harsh environment, now becomes a place of possibility, a world that not only challenges them, but nurtures growth. Finally, Part 3 establishes foreshadowing for future conflicts and resolutions. The aliens' interactions with humans position them as both protectors and bridges between species. It also hints at the eventual larger confrontation with the Council of Zytheron, which will not anticipate the strategic advantage gained by this alliance of alien ingenuity and human adaptability. The part closes with a sense of hope and connection. The alien girls are no longer isolated, and the beginnings of love, both between themselves and potentially between species, set the stage for the story's unfolding drama. Represents a pivotal turning point in the story, shifting from survival and exploration to active confrontation and defense. After months of adaptation, learning, and emotional growth, Lyra and Kessia face a tangible threat. The Council of Zytheron has discovered their location on Earth and sends in forces to retrieve them. This section is significant because it tests everything the protagonists have learned: survival skills, strategy, human collaboration, and emotional resilience, while also emphasizing the HFY theme of humans as resourceful, adaptive, and capable of extraordinary feats when united with other intelligent species. The Council's arrival is marked by an overwhelming display of technological superiority. Advanced starships, weaponized drones, and elite soldiers descend upon Earth, expecting to easily recapture the exiled aliens. The narrative here emphasizes the stark contrast between Zytheron's organized, technologically advanced military and the primitive humans and alien girls on the ground. This contrast reinforces the recurring HFY message: intelligence, creativity, and adaptability often surpass brute technological power. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, Lyra and Kessia are no longer passive exiles. They are experienced survivors with a deep understanding of Earth's environment and human behavior. A major element of this part is the preparation and strategy phase. Lyra and Kessia leverage everything they have learned from surviving in Earth's forests, observing local wildlife, and interacting with humans. They recognize that direct confrontation would be suicidal, so they focus on tactical innovation. They organize humans into an effective defense force, employing guerrilla tactics, traps, and strategic fortifications. The story highlights the ingenuity of the human collaborators. They are not simply passive allies, but active participants, improvising solutions under Lyra and Kessia's guidance. The narrative here showcases how collaboration between species, even across vast biological and cultural differences, can yield powerful results. The actual conflict demonstrates the culmination of the girls' growth and the effectiveness of their alliance with humans. When the Council's enforcers arrive, they are shocked by the sophistication of the defenses, the unpredictability of Earth's terrain, and the coordinated resistance of the combined human-alien team. Lyra and Kessia fight in perfect synchrony, anticipating each other's actions without verbal communication. This synchronization reflects not only their training and experience, but also the deep emotional bond and trust that has developed between them. The fight scenes in this part are as much about emotional connection as physical prowess. The girls' love manifests as coordination, intuition, and a shared determination to protect their home. Part 4 also serves as a thematic exploration of transformation and empowerment. The exiles, once powerless and dependent on the council's systems, have become leaders and protectors. The environment that once posed a threat has become an ally, and the humans, initially perceived as inferior, are now invaluable partners. Through resourcefulness, courage, and unity, they turn a situation of extreme disadvantage into one of tactical superiority. This reinforces the story's underlying HFY message. Strength is not measured solely by technology or physical dominance, but by intelligence, adaptability, and the ability to inspire cooperation. Emotionally, this part further cements the love between Lyra and Kessia. Facing a common external threat solidifies their bond. Trust and reliance deepen into devotion. The story emphasizes that love in extreme circumstances is forged through shared danger, mutual protection, and the recognition of each other's strengths. In addition, their connection with humans adds another layer of relational depth, creating a network of loyalty and trust that spans species lines. This network will prove crucial in the story's resolution, highlighting the power of collaboration and unity. Part 4 also foreshadows the eventual resolution of the larger conflict with the Council. By demonstrating that humans, when combined, with alien knowledge and leadership, can challenge even the most formidable forces in the galaxy, the story hints at a broader theme. Underestimated species can achieve greatness when creativity, courage, and intelligence are applied. This builds tension and anticipation for the final part, as readers recognize that the ultimate victory will not come from sheer power, but from the ingenuity and resilience of the protagonists and their allies. In conclusion, Part 4 is a critical segment that combines action, strategy, character development, and thematic reinforcement. It illustrates the culmination of Lyra and Kessia's growth, the effectiveness of their alliance with humans, and the power of love and trust under extreme pressure. The defense of Earth is not just a battle for survival. It is a demonstration of what can be achieved when intelligence, adaptability, and emotional bonds converge. By the end of this part, the protagonists have transformed from exiled, vulnerable girls into leaders, warriors, and symbols of unity, preparing readers for the story's resolution and the final celebration of love, growth, and triumph. Serves as the resolution and emotional climax of the story, tying together the survival, adaptation, and love arcs that have been carefully developed in the previous sections. By this stage, Lyra and Kessia have not only proven their resilience and ingenuity, but have also formed deep bonds with each other and with humans, creating a foundation for a harmonious life on Earth. This section highlights transformation, love, and the triumph of ingenuity and emotional strength over external oppression, completing the HFY, Humans, High Fidelity, narrative of human potential and adaptability. The part begins with the aftermath of the conflict with the Council of Zitharon. The enforcers, who had been confident in their technological superiority, are forced to retreat, humiliated by a combined human-alien defense they did not anticipate. This moment is symbolic. It reinforces the recurring theme that underestimation of others, whether humans or exiled aliens, can lead to catastrophic failure. The victory is not due to raw power, but to strategy, adaptability, creativity, and unity. Earth, once considered a primitive backwater, has demonstrated that intelligence and resourcefulness can level the playing field even against a vastly superior force. This serves to elevate the HFY theme, presenting humanity as a species whose ingenuity and resilience are unmatched in the galaxy, particularly when combined with extraterrestrial allies. A major focus in Part 5 is the emotional fulfillment of Lyra and Kessia's journey. Throughout their exile, the girls' relationship has evolved from mutual reliance for survival into a profound bond characterized by trust, admiration, and love. This section allows their romance to flourish openly. The story emphasizes how shared hardship and triumph have deepened their connection, making it not only emotional, but also practical. Their synchronization in battle and survival extends into everyday life, demonstrating the integration of emotional intimacy and mutual respect. Earth has provided a safe space for love to grow. Far from the rigid hierarchical constraints of Zitharon, they are free to define their own identities and relationships. Integration with humans is another key element in Part 5. Lyra and Kessia do not remain isolated. Instead, they become active members of human communities. They share their knowledge of alien technology, survival strategies, and philosophical perspectives, while continuing to learn from human ingenuity and culture. This exchange symbolizes a two-way enrichment. Humans gain access to advanced alien knowledge, and the aliens discover the value of Earth's simplicity, creativity, and adaptability. This collaboration demonstrates that intelligence is not limited to one species or culture and reinforces the story's central message. When different beings work together, extraordinary outcomes are possible. Part 5 also emphasizes transformation on multiple levels. Lyra and Kessia have grown from exiled, powerless individuals into leaders, educators, and protectors. Humans, in turn, have evolved from passive survivors into active participants in defending and shaping their world alongside alien allies. The environment itself, once a threatening wilderness, has become a nurturing home, illustrating that adaptation and cooperation can turn adversity into opportunity. The narrative uses these developments to show that growth is not just about overcoming challenges, but about creating lasting, positive change. Symbolically, the story highlights the theme of freedom. Exile, initially intended as punishment, becomes the catalyst for liberation. Lyra and Kessia are free not only from the Council's oppressive rules, but also from the societal expectations that previously defined them. On Earth, they are empowered to live authentically, to explore love, and to influence their surroundings in meaningful ways. This transformation underscores a universal HFY motif. True power arises from adaptability, emotional intelligence, and the courage to act according to one's principles. Finally, the story concludes with a sense of hope and permanence. Lyra and Kessia are no longer fugitives. They have created a home, nurtured human-alien alliances, and embraced a love that transcends species and cultural boundaries. The stars above, once a reminder of exile and punishment, now represent possibility and connection. The narrative closes by emphasizing that love, courage, and ingenuity are not limited by status, species, or environment. By overcoming punishment, mastering survival, and forging bonds with humans, the alien girls exemplify resilience and the transformative power of emotional connection.